Aquarius. Something ancient around your spirit just broke open, quietly, suddenly, and without warning. It's as if the air around your life has changed texture, like a storm that ruled the sky for years finally losing its strength. You may not have words for it yet, but your soul has already noticed it. The pressure that lived on your back for 15 long years has finally released its grip. There's a strange lightness trying to settle on you. A feeling you almost don't trust, because suffering had become your normal. For so long, you moved through life like someone carrying invisible luggage, trying to stay strong while parts of your heart kept collapsing in silence. But Aquarius, something ended. Something snapped behind the scenes. Something that held you down. Expired. This shift is not a dream, not imagination, not a good moment. It is the spiritual ending of a cycle that dragged itself across your life for over a decade. And your spirit, tired as it is beginning to stretch, like a prisoner who just realized the door has been unlocked. For 15 years, you survived storms that were not meant for the faint-hearted. You walked through seasons that demanded strength you didn't even know you had. You stood tall in moments where anyone else would have broken. So when you feel this new energy rising, don't run from it. Don't question it. You earned this shift with every scar, every tear, every lonely night, every silent prayer. Aquarius, your suffering season has officially ended. The ground beneath your life is rearranging itself, and destiny is clearing the dust from a path that was always meant to be yours. If your heart recognizes this truth, even before your mind does, I want you to write in the comments, "My 15 years have ended." Say it with intention. Claim it with authority. Let the spiritual realms witness your declaration. Tonight, we are stepping into the story of everything you endured, everything that attempted to break you, and everything that is now turning in your favor. Stay with me until the very end, because what's coming next will not look like what you survived. Your breakthrough story begins now. Aquarius. Those 15 years of your life became a kind of emotional hallway. A place that felt too tight for you to breathe, too long for you to see the end, and too dark for you to understand why you were still inside it. Every step felt heavier than the last, and every effort seemed to dissolve before it even had the chance to grow. You were moving, yes? But it felt like everything around you was resisting your progress. People around you saw the surface, the smile you put on, the way you tried to stay hopeful, the way you tried to look strong. But they never truly saw the weight you carried behind that smile. They didn't see the nights you stared at the ceiling, wondering why life felt like an uphill climb that never leveled out. They didn't hear the quiet questions in your heart, that soft whisper asking, "When will something finally shift in my favor?" You learned to carry disappointment with grace. You learned to hold on to faith even when faith felt thin. You learned to show up for life even when life felt like it was turning its back on you. There were seasons when you dreamed so boldly, when you felt hope rise in your chest, only for reality to hit you like a cold wind, reminding you how far away your desires seemed. You watched others move forward while you felt stuck in the same repeating cycle. You watched opportunities slip through your fingers like water you couldn't hold. You watched people promise support and then disappear the moment you needed them. And yet, you didn't stop. You didn't collapse. You didn't surrender to the pressure. You kept waking up. You kept trying. You kept believing that somewhere, somehow, a door would open. These were not wasted years, Aquarius. They were not empty space in your life story. They were sacred ground, the kind of ground where something deep is being built inside you long before the world ever sees the results. These years trained you. They stretched you. They sharpened your inner vision. They taught you to live with resilience, even when you felt fragile. They prepared your spirit for the future you couldn't see but were slowly growing into. You weren't stuck, even when it felt that way. You were being shaped, strengthened, seasoned, purified, aligned, and even though no one else saw what you endured, the universe did. Every tear, every setback, every lonely night, every attempt to rise again, it was all counted. Nothing was ignored. nothing was forgotten. Those silent years were not the end of your story. They were the foundation of the chapter you're stepping into now. The chapter where everything begins to make sense. The chapter where the hallway finally opens. The chapter where the suffering finally ends. Aquarius. In those long 15 years, there was one year that stood out. A year that didn't just challenge you, it almost crushed you. It was the year that pushed your heart to the edge, the year that made you wonder if life had anything left to offer you at all. This wasn't a small setback or a bad week. It was a breaking point, a moment where everything felt heavier than your strength. A time when you looked at your life and felt the weight of disappointment sitting like a stone in your chest. You didn't lose hope because you lacked courage. You lost hope because you were tired, deeply, painfully tired. Tired of trying, tired of waiting, tired of believing that things would change while everything around you kept falling apart. During that year, the people you trusted the most were the ones who brought the deepest wounds. Someone you opened your heart to, someone you thought would stay loyal, showed you a side you were never prepared to see. Their betrayal didn't just hurt your feelings, it shook your sense of safety. It made you question your worth. It made you rethink your openness. And then, almost at the same time, your finances seemed to disappear out of nowhere. Money slipped away from you like water spilling between fingers you couldn't close fast enough. Even the things you handled with care began to crumble. You watched opportunities fall apart right when they were supposed to bloom. You felt life knock the wind out of your chest again and again, as if it had forgotten how much you had already been through. This was the year you whispered, maybe for the first time, maybe good things aren't meant for me. Not because you wanted to give up, but because you couldn't understand why life felt so painfully unfair. But here's the spiritual truth that held you even when you didn't know it. Your hope dimmed, but your spirit refused to die. A quiet fire stayed alive inside you, a fire so small you could barely feel it, yet strong enough to keep you going. You kept waking up, even when mornings felt heavy. You kept taking steps, even when the ground beneath you didn't feel stable. You kept showing up for your life, even when it felt like life wasn't showing up for you. You walked through storms that would have drowned anyone else. But you stayed afloat, not because you had everything under control, but because your soul was built for endurance. You didn't fold, you didn't shatter, you didn't disappear into the darkness. And even when it felt like no one saw your struggle, the universe did. Every tear, every night you forced yourself to breathe through the pain, every moment you fought the urge to quit, all of it was witnessed. All of it mattered. All of it counted. Your resilience did not go unnoticed. It became the silent proof that you were stronger than the suffering that tried to break you. And that strength is now the very reason your new season is opening. Aquarius. In those long years of struggle, you often wondered why life seemed to hold things back from you. You wondered why certain chances slipped away, why certain people drifted out of your grasp, why certain dreams stayed locked behind doors you couldn't open no matter how hard you tried. But now, with the wisdom you've gained, something becomes clear. The delays were never meant to punish you. They were meant to protect you. There were moments when you stood in front of opportunities, ready to give everything you had, and yet nothing moved. Nothing opened. Nothing responded. You begged for answers, but silence met you. You tried to force outcomes, but everything collapsed before it even began. It felt like rejection. It felt like abandonment. It felt like life was ignoring your effort. But the truth is, more loving than it felt. Every delay carried a hidden message. This is not for you. Not like this. Not with them. Not at this time. There were people you trusted with your heart who were never meant to walk into the next chapter of your journey. If they had stayed, their insecurities would have poisoned your growth. Their jealousy would have dimmed your light. Their instability would have drained your joy. You would have spent your energy trying to fix them, instead of becoming who you were meant to be. There were environments you longed to be part of, places that looked safe, promising, exciting, but they would have suffocated your potential. You would have settled. You would have shrunk yourself to fit. You would have forgotten how powerful your spirit really is. And then there was timing. You wanted things when your heart was still healing. You wanted opportunities when your confidence was still fragile. You wanted blessings when you didn't yet have the tools to protect them. If certain dreams had arrived too early, they would have overwhelmed you. If certain relationships had lasted longer, they would have broken you in deeper ways. If certain increases had reached you sooner, the pressure would have crushed your self-worth. Your suffering did not delay your life. Your protection did. Every unanswered prayer was a shield. Every closed door was a rescue. Every not yet was heaven rearranging your path so you wouldn't walk into harm. Everything that didn't work out was a quiet voice whispering, "This isn't the right shape for your future. This isn't the person who will honor your heart. This isn't the moment meant for your breakthrough." Some delays were painful, but they saved you. Some endings left you confused, but they freed you. Some detours felt unnecessary, but they prepared you. Now, as your new season begins, you can finally see it. Your life wasn't falling behind. It was being aligned. You weren't being denied, you were being preserved. You weren't being slowed, you were being positioned. Everything that didn't happen was heaven saying with love, "Not yet. Not now. Not like this." Aquarius, there is something deeply rare about the way your spirit works. When life around you started collapsing, when people lost their balance, when situations became too heavy for others to handle, you were the one who stood up and held everything together. Not because you had more strength than everyone else, but because your heart refused to let the world fall apart on your watch. For 15 long years, you carried responsibilities that were not yours. You held the emotional weight of others without complaining. You showed up for people who didn't show up for you. You became the steady one in situations where everyone else fell apart. You didn't ask for this role. It was given to you by circumstance, by necessity, by destiny. And even though you carried it with grace, the truth is this: it was heavy. It was draining. And at times, it felt unfair. You healed wounds other people created, wounds that cut you even deeper when you tried to mend them. You poured love into people who did not know how to pour anything back into you. You stood strong on days when you desperately wished someone would stand strong for you. There were nights you whispered your pain into the darkness because you didn't want to burden anyone else. You comforted others with gentle words while wiping your own tears in silence. You became the one everyone leaned on, while secretly longing for someone who could be that safe place for you. You stepped into the role of provider even when your own heart felt starved. You made sure everyone was okay, even when your energy was running low. You kept the peace in environments that would have exploded without your presence, even when your own spirit was breaking quietly inside. This weight, the emotional, mental, and sometimes spiritual weight, was not small. It shaped you, it strengthened you, it challenged you in ways no one fully understood. But it also revealed qualities in you that many people do not possess. Endurance that stretches beyond hardship, empathy that sees beneath the surface, emotional intelligence that feels what others cannot express. Through these years, you learned how to listen between the lines. You learned how to stand strong without becoming hard. You learned how to love without losing yourself, even though the world tried to take advantage of that love. And the most powerful truth of all is this: you are no longer the person you were 15 years ago. The version of you today is layered with experience, insight, and spiritual maturity. You are sharper, able to see intentions clearly. You are wiser, able to recognize what deserves your energy and what does not. You are stronger, not because life was kind, but because you survived everything that was meant to weaken you. And your spirit has become seasoned, grounded, and deeply aware. The weight you carried alone did not break you. It shaped you into someone with depth, discernment, and inner power. And now, In this new season, that strength will no longer be taken advantage of. It will be honored. Aquarius. Every person who carries a strong spirit reaches a turning point, a moment when the heavens look at the weight you've endured, the pressure you've survived, and the wounds you never spoke about, and finally declare, this is where their suffering ends. That moment has arrived for you. It didn't come with thunder. It didn't come with a dramatic announcement. It came gently, like a soft shift in the atmosphere around your life. A shift you may not have words for yet, but you feel it in your bones. The first signs are quiet ones. You start noticing small moments of peace that appear out of nowhere. Your heart feels lighter, and you don't understand why. Your thoughts, once tangled and heavy, begin to loosen and calm. The noise inside you, the doubt, the fear, the anxiety, suddenly becomes softer. You wake up in the morning, and for the first time in a long time, you don't feel that crushing emotional weight sitting on your chest. You breathe easier, you think clearer, you feel safer inside your own mind. This is heaven's way of telling you, you have carried enough. Now let us carry you. It's as if the universe is moving ahead of you, sweeping the road clean. The obstacles that once slowed you down are being removed without you lifting a finger. The invisible walls you kept running into are dissolving quietly. The delays that frustrated you for years are no longer standing in your way. You will notice sudden clarity, the kind that helps you make decisions without fear. You will notice your emotions balancing, no longer pulled in every direction by old wounds. You will notice blessings that were once hidden beginning to show up in unexpected ways. This isn't luck. This isn't coincidence. This is alignment. It is the universe rearranging pieces of your life so gently, so intentionally, that you can finally walk forward without constantly being pushed backward. The ground beneath you is softer now, prepared for the seeds of everything you prayed for. Opportunities that once slipped away will now stay. Relationships that drained you will fade out on their own. Peace that avoided you for years will become your new normal. Aquarius, the shift is not on its way. The shift has already started. You are living in it right now. Heaven has spoken. Your suffering season is over. Aquarius, hear this with your whole spirit. Something ancient around your life has just snapped. A cycle that held you for far too long has finally broken in the spiritual realm. For 15 years, you walked under pressures that didn't make sense, under delays that felt unnatural, under disappointments that came one after another. But now, that cycle has reached its final breath. The patterns that kept repeating, the struggles that showed up again and again, they have all reached their expiration date. The energy that once tied you to loss, confusion, and emotional battles can no longer attach itself to you. You are free from a spiritual loop that tried to follow you from one chapter to the next. Those cycles included so much more than you ever admitted. Moments where your finances would rise, only to suddenly collapse again. Relationships that started with promise, but ended in pain. Seasons where you felt invisible, overshadowed, or ignored. Times when your gifts were underestimated and your value misunderstood. Unexpected losses that left you questioning your worth. Betrayals that cut deeper than words. Long stretches of stagnation where nothing moved, no matter how much effort you gave. All of these patterns were part of a larger spiritual cycle. A weight that held you still, a cloud that refused to break, a heaviness that sat on your destiny without permission. But that cycle is gone now. It has been shattered. Its time over your life has ended. This is why your spirit has been restless lately. Not in fear, but in recognition. You felt something shifting even before you had the words for it. You noticed changes in your emotions, changes in your intuition, changes in the way opportunities were starting to align. You sensed a quiet movement around you, like something heavy lifting off your shoulders without explanation. That restlessness wasn't anxiety, it was your spirit adjusting to freedom. You were feeling the chains fall before you heard them hit the ground. You were feeling the pressure lift before your mind fully realized that the weight was gone. The atmosphere around your life has opened. Where there was blockage, there is now flow. Where there was darkness, there is now clarity. Where there was heaviness, there is now peace. Aquarius, the curse is gone. The heaviness is gone. The dark cloud that followed you for years has dissolved. You are no longer walking with an invisible burden tied to your back. You are stepping into a season that is clean, free of old debris, free of old patterns, free of old wounds that used to block your blessings. A season uncluttered by stress, fear, or emotional confusion. A season arranged by divine timing, where every step you take will feel guided, supported, and aligned. This is your new chapter. A chapter where the past can no longer pull you backwards. A chapter where your path is clear. A chapter where your spirit can finally breathe without pressure. The 15-year cycle has ended, and the life ahead of you will not resemble the life behind you. Aquarius, when a long season of suffering finally ends, life doesn't just shift, it transforms. A divine exchange takes place, quietly but powerfully. Everything you carried for years, everything that drained you, scarred you, or left you feeling empty, is now being traded for something higher. You give heaven your scars, and heaven returns restoration, the kind that reaches places you thought would stay broken forever. You hand over your disappointments, and opportunity begins to rise in the spaces where loss used to live. You release your loneliness, and alignment steps in. The right people, the right support, the right connections showing up with purpose, not confusion. Aquarius, you are standing in the middle of this spiritual trade right now. What walked out of your life is being replaced with what actually belongs to you. What broke you is being rebuilt stronger. What hurt you is being healed from the root. And what you lost is returning in a form far better than what was taken. Everything you gave to the wrong people, your time, your love, your patience, your hope, will now come back to you through the right ones. People who appreciate you, people who match your energy, people who don't drain your spirit, but lift it. This exchange is already in motion, and it will not stop until you are fully restored. Aquarius, it's time to face a truth your heart has known for a while. Some of the people who left your life were never meant to stay. They took more than they ever gave. They drained your energy, pulled from your spirit, and expected your loyalty while offering you nothing stable in return. Some pretended to care, but behind your back, they envied your light. Some smiled at you while quietly competing with you. Some enjoyed your kindness but did not respect your boundaries. Their exit wasn't abandonment, it was extraction. Life removed them the moment their presence began to block your growth. It might have hurt at the time, but their removal wasn't punishment. It was purification. It was your spirit being cleared from connections that weakened you. It was heaven saying, you deserve better than this. Because your next chapter requires people who can meet you where you truly are. People with maturity, people with emotional depth, people with spiritual wisdom, people who don't fear your strength but support it. Your old circle could not rise with you. They didn't have the heart capacity or the character to walk into the season you're stepping into now. Let their absence be your confirmation. Only the right people will be allowed into your new beginning. Aquarius, those 15 years did more than test your strength. They transformed your spirit. What you went through didn't shatter you, it sharpened you. It turned your pain into perception and your struggles into spiritual awareness. In the silence of your hardest moments, you learn to trust your intuition more than the promises people made. You learn to hear God's guidance in quiet places where no one else could reach you. You learn to separate truth from illusion, sincerity from manipulation, love from convenience. And most importantly, you learned how to walk alone without losing your identity. That wasn't suffering, that was awakening. A deep inner shift that opened your spiritual eyes. Now you move through life differently. You can sense lies before they're spoken. You can see a person's intention before they show it. You can feel danger before it arrives. Your spirit has become a powerful radar, alert and wise. This new sensitivity is not paranoia, it's protection. It is the gift born from your endurance, the reward for surviving seasons that tried to blind you. And this is exactly why your next season will be peaceful. You will not walk into the wrong hands again. You will not fall for false promises. You will not be caught off guard. Your spirit is awake now, and it will guide you safely into what comes next. Aquarius, you've entered a season where the pain of the past no longer follows you. Now begins the part of your journey where everything you carried, everything you survived, and everything you lost finally returns in a better form. This is your reward phase. The moment life starts giving back what suffering once took away. You will start noticing changes that feel subtle at first. Opportunities arriving without struggle. People treating you with the respect you always deserved. Moments of clarity replacing years of confusion. A calm confidence settling into your spirit. Doors that once stayed shut will open effortlessly. Blessings that were delayed will arrive in clusters. Situations that once frustrated you will begin to work in your favor. You are stepping into a chapter where things flow instead of fight you. Where you don't have to beg for loyalty. Where your value is seen immediately. Where your presence is honored, not drained. Finances stabilize. Love becomes safer. Your mind becomes clearer, your path becomes smoother. This isn't accidental, it's compensation. It's the universe returning everything you poured out, but multiplied. It's heaven saying, you didn't break, now it's time for you to rise. Aquarius, your reward phase begins now, and it will unfold faster than you expect. Aquarius, you've reached the doorway your spirit has been waiting for. The heaviness that followed you for 15 years has lifted, the patterns that held you back have broken, and a new chapter is now standing open in front of you. You are not entering this season by accident, you earned it. Every tear, every setback, every lonely moment became the foundation of the strength you now carry. What comes next will feel different. Life will feel lighter, opportunities will feel natural, peace will feel familiar, and blessings will finally have room to reach you. If this message speaks to your soul, write in the comments, "My new season begins now." Let that be your declaration. Let it be your confirmation. Let it be your step into the life waiting for you. And if you haven't subscribed yet, join this family. Your rising journey has only just begun. Aquarius, your suffering season has ended. Your freedom season has arrived. And this time, nothing will stand in your way.